take a good look at this. This is a $1,000 survival filtration system. High-tech, military-grade, carbon fiber reinforced. And in a real-world grid-down scenario. This expensive piece of plastic is exactly what's going to get you killed. You've been lied to by marketing departments. And today, the bill comes due. We're obsessed with clean water. But there is a massive, deadly difference between water that looks clear and water that is actually safe. If you can't tell the difference between filtration and purification, you aren't a survivalist. You're a walking casualty. Welcome to Cyber Rat. I'm not here to sell you the latest tactical gadget. I'm here to dig through the dirt of history and the cold equations of science to show you how our ancestors survived the unthinkable with nothing but grit and old-world logic. We don't just buy gear here. We build resilience. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you why a 1930s Great Depression recipe for a sand filter might actually save your life over a modern nano filter. We're breaking down the $1,000 error and reconstructing a forgotten method of purification that costs exactly $0. Stick around, because the science of survival isn't in your wallet. It's in your head. Let's get to work. Look at this glass. It looks pristine, right? Crystal clear. You'd drink this in a heartbeat if you were thirsty enough. But under a microscope, this water is a crowded city of giardia, cryptosporidium, and viral pathogens that don't care how much you paid for your gear. During the Great Depression, people saw clear water in the Ohio River and thought they were safe. They weren't. They were drinking a cocktail of typhoid and cholera because they mistook clarity for purity. The 1,000 error is simple. It's the belief that a filter is a magic wand. Most survival filters on the market are designed to catch sediment and bacteria, things measured in microns. But viruses are ghosts. They slip through 0.2 micron pores like a ghost walking through a barn door. If you're relying on a filter alone in a post-disaster urban environment, you aren't purifying. You're just straining the soup before you drink the poison. I spent the last week digging through old civil defense manuals from the 1950s and survival journals from the 1930s Dust Bowl. These people didn't have REI or Amazon Prime. They had sand, they had charcoal, and they had a fundamental understanding of thermodynamics that we've traded for convenience. I found a blueprint for a gravity-fed system used by Appalachian coal miners that outperforms most of what you see on top 10 survival gear lists today. Today, we're going to reconstruct that 100-year-old science. We're going to take the dirtiest, most contaminated runoff I can find, and I'm going to show you the 3-stage process that separates the survivors from the statistics. We're going back to basics, because when the lights go out, the basics are all you have left. Grab your notebook. You're going to want to write this down.
All right, let's get our hands dirty. To fix the problem, you have to understand the physics of the pore. Most people think filtration is just a screen, like a window keeping out flies. It's not. In the survival world, we call this mechanical separation. We're using layers of varying density to trap particulates. I'm using coarse gravel at the bottom, followed by a thick layer of fine quartz sand. This isn't just about looks. This is about surface area. Every grain of sand is a jagged mountain that a cyst or a parasite has to navigate. If it gets stuck, you live. If it flows through, you're in trouble. But sand only stops the big stuff. To handle the chemical nasties, the pesticides, the runoff from that old factory upstream, you need carbon. Now, don't go running to the store for activated carbon. Our ancestors used the Cowboy method. You take the charred remains of a hardwood fire, not the ash, but the black coals, crush them down, and layer them in. This is adsorption with a D. The carbon acts like a chemical magnet, pulling toxins out of the water and locking them onto its surface. It's low-tech, it's messy, and it's been working since the days of the Roman Empire. Hear that crunch? That's the sound of $100 saved on a replacement filter. Take a second and listen to that drip. In 1900, if you were a homesteader in the Oklahoma Territory, this sound was the heartbeat of your family. If the drip stopped, you moved. If the drip turned cloudy, you prayed. We've become so detached from our water source that we've lost our survival intuition. We trust a plastic straw more than our own senses. But those folks back then, they knew that even this clear, charcoal-filtered water was still a loaded gun. It looks perfect, it smells clean, but it's still missing the final, most crucial step. And this is where the $1,000 error turns fatal. Here's the hard truth. Filtration equals purification. Even if your filter is rated at 0.1 microns, a virus is a different beast entirely. We're talking about pathogens like hepatitis A or norovirus that are as small as 2 cents mu milliliter. They don't get stuck in the sand. They don't care about your charcoal. They sail right through that high-tech mesh like a pebble through a chain-link fence. If you stop here, if you drink this water just because it looks like Perrier, you are gambling with your life. Next, I'm going to show you the triple kill method to actually make this water safe for human consumption. Let's move to the heat.
Now, let's put the science of the rat to the test. On one side, I've got this expensive name-brand survival filter that's been sitting in a bug-out bag for 3 years. On the other, our DIY slow sand and charcoal stack. Most people assume the shiny one wins by default, but here's the reality check. Mong lock, membranes degrade. They get microscopic cracks from freezing temperatures or simply drying out. A crack you can't see is a highway for a pathogen. If this $1,000 system fails, it fails silently. If my sand filter fails, I can see the sediment, I can fix it. Knowledge doesn't have a shelf life, plastic does. Let's look at the math, because the math doesn't lie. Most survival straws are rated at $0.1 to 0.2 RMU-mem. That's great for E. coli or Salmonella. Those are the giants of the microbial world. But in a true collapse, or even a major flood in a U.S. city, you're dealing with cross-contamination from sewage. We're talking polio, rotavirus, and echovirus. These are measured at 0.02 RMU-mem to 0.05 IJR. Do you see the gap? Your high-end filter is literally 10 times too porous to catch the things that cause a cytokine storm in your lungs. You're paying for a sense of security that doesn't exist under a microscope. I'm pouring this stagnant runoff, filled with heavy metals and organic decay, through both. Watch the flow rate. The expensive filter is struggling, clogging up instantly because it's trying to do too much at once. It's built for weekend camping, not long-term survival. Meanwhile, our layered system is handling the bulk. But remember the researcher rule. Just because the charcoal took the yellow out of the water doesn't mean it took the death out of it. This is the exact moment where the amateur takes a victory sip and ends up in a makeshift hospital ward 3 days later. During the 1918 pandemic and the subsequent hygiene crisis, the U.S. Army didn't just tell soldiers to filter their water. They issued Lister bags, heavy canvas bags treated with calcium hypochlorite. Why? Because they knew that even the clearest mountain spring in France was a potential bioweapon. They used the filter to clear the mud, but they used chemistry to win the war. If you are relying on a single point of failure, especially one made of brittle polymers, you are making the $1,000 error. You're betting your life on a factory's quality control from 5 years ago. I don't like those odds. I like physics, and physics says we need to go one step further. Here is the payoff. Survival isn't a product you buy. It's a protocol you follow. Our ancestors didn't survive the wilderness because they had better gear. They survived because they were disciplined. They knew that clear is just a visual stage, not a safety standard. To truly beat the $1,000 error, you have to adopt the cyber rat triple kill method. Homa. It's the same logic used by 19th century field surgeons and 21st century disaster relief teams. We've done the mechanics. Now we do the science. Step 1. Sedimentation. This is the lost art of waiting. If you pull water from a flooded basement or a muddy creek, don't filter it immediately. You'll just ruin your equipment. In the old days, they'd use a settling stone or a bit of alum. Let it sit for 4 hours. Gravity is the cheapest filter on Earth. It pulls the heavy metals and the thick clay to the bottom for free. Look at the layer of sludge at the base of this jar. If you'd force that through your expensive munglock, you'd have a clogged, useless piece of plastic in 5 minutes. Patience saves your gear, and gear saves your life. Step 2 was our sand and charcoal stack, mechanical separation. But step 3? This is the purification phase where we kill the ghosts. If you have fuel, you boil. Period. There's no filter on the consumer market that beats 212 circ at sea level for 1 minute. It's the ultimate equalizer. But what if you're in a low-sig environment? No smoke, no fire. This is where the 1940s military tech comes back. A single drop of 2% tincture of iodine or a tiny pinch of calcium hypochlorite. It tastes like a swimming pool, sure, but a swimming pool never gave anyone dysentery. This is how you kill the viruses that $1,000 filter missed. This is the difference between being tactical and being alive. And for the cyber rat special, something the industry hates because it's free. SODIS. Solar water disinfection. If you have a clear PET plastic bottle, you fill it with your filtered water and leave it on a reflective surface, like the hood of an old car, in direct sunlight for 6 hours. The UV radiation from the sun tears the DNA of those viruses apart. It's a trick used in the world's poorest regions today. And it's based on a discovery from the late 1800s. No batteries, no moving parts, no subscription-based replacement filters, just you and the sun. So let's look at the final product. This water started as toxic, gray runoff. It went through a settling jar, a handmade sand and charcoal stack, and a final UV heat treatment. It didn't cost $1,000. It cost me an hour of labor and some trash I found in the shed. When you rely on a company to keep you safe, you're a customer. When you rely on the laws of physics, you're a survivor. The $1,000 error ends when you realize that the most important tool in your kit is the gray matter between your ears. Now, let's talk about how to store this liquid gold so it doesn't go bad before you can drink it. You've filtered it, you've purified it, it's safe. But here's the kicker. Clean water is a perishable resource. If you pour that liquid gold into a contaminated old milk jug or leave it exposed to the air in a humid basement, you've just reset the clock to 0. Our ancestors used glazed stoneware or charred oak barrels for a reason. They understood that bacteria is an opportunist. It's waiting for you to get lazy. In a survival situation, your containers need to be as sterile as your process. Scrub them, bleach them, or don't bother starting at all. At the end of the day, this isn't really about water. It's about the fragility of our modern safety net. We live in a world where we've outsourced our survival to supply chains and corporations. We think that if we buy the right stuff, we're protected. But the cyber rat philosophy is different. Repair the knowledge, and you survive the failure. Whether it's fixing a broken water pump with a leather washer or knowing how to distill moisture from a literal hole in the ground, your value is measured by what you can do when the stores are empty and the internet is dark. If this video made you rethink that expensive gear sitting in your garage, then I've done my job. I'm not saying throw away your life straw. I'm saying don't let it be your only plan. If you want more low-tech, high-science, deep dives into how to keep your family safe using forgotten history, hit that subscribe button. Join the colony here at War Cyber Rat. We're building a community of people who would rather be capable than just equipped. Smash the like button to help the algorithm find other like-minded rats out there in the Wasteland. Next week, we're going even deeper. I'm going to show you how to scavenge a microwave oven to build a spot welder that can repair your perimeter security. No grid required. Until then, check your filters, boil your water, and remember, the most dangerous thing in any disaster is an unprepared mind. This is CyberRat, signing off from the workshop. Stay sharp, stay gritty, and I'll see you in the next one.